Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another MAMJ Let's Play, of course, Party Book of Shadows. When we left off, a lot of stuff's been happening. Apparently Katayama is dead. He's the one who lost his leg, and we were looking for an exit. And Kizami is still being kind of nice, which is still really awkward. I don't think it's going to last very much longer, though. But Toko likes him. Amy and I couldn't stay near the body. We'd gone down to the second floor, where we picked a corner and just stood there, trying to recompose ourselves. Oh yeah, and then there was the little kid's body that was down there we had to, like, exercise to. Yuya elected to stay with Okawa on the third floor. I guess to try to break him from his shock and help put some distance between him and Katayama. None of this felt real. Or maybe I just didn't want it to be real. It was a nightmare. It had to be. I'd just sit up in my bed and it would all be over. Yeah, if only. So sad. My energy was waning again. I sank to the ground, landing on my knees. Emi followed my lead and put an arm around me for comfort. A friend had just died. He just died. God, why? Emi and I looked at each other. We both heard them. Footsteps coming down the hall. It was too dark to make out who it was, but the gate was decidedly male. The two of us slowly and quietly rose to our feet, hid around the corner, and peeked out, both terrified and curious to whom or what we might see. Who is it? There, at the end of the hall, the figure finally came into view. It was a tallish man, unsteadily teetering as he strode toward us. It was Shimada, drenched from head to toe. No. Emi shot forward, intending to run toward him, but I grabbed her arm and held her back without even thinking about it. She turned and looked at me with a puzzled expression. He's a giant jerk. She looked back at me again as she said this, staring right into my eyes in an almost disciplinary manner. It was a perfect guilt stare. I couldn't help but succumb to it, feeling bad for not having filled her in about the Shimada incident. Why is he back? Shimada continued his slow, wet walk down the hall. Then, all of a sudden, for no discernible reason, he simply fell forward, landing hard on his knees. Something was wrong with him, and while I loathed the man, I didn't want to see him suffer. Emi and I were both poised to rush to his aid, when other figures randomly appeared all around him. Figures of children, blue and ethereal, shimmering with their own light. Oh. Okay, children. Did they possess him because he tried to leave the school? We had that rock. We could barely even see Shimada from our vantage point anymore, as his body was obscured almost completely by the backs of these ghost children. He wasn't moving though, so it didn't seem like they were doing anything to him. But then, he wasn't moving at all, which seemed highly suspicious. It occurred to me that maybe we should try to save him. We shouldn't. I inched forward. He was still in exactly the same position he had been when he fell to his knees. He literally hadn't moved at all. Was he unconscious? Emi and I looked at one another and nodded. It was a silent signal to move forward and do whatever we could to help. He's already dead. When the children vanished as we approached, revealing a horrific sight. Shimada's stomach had been flayed wide open. He was dead. The knife he'd flaunted earlier was jutting from the wound. It was almost a ceremonial death, like that of a samurai who'd thrown himself into his sword. Toko, girl, please. Emmy! With the screaming. For the record, nobody here killed him because he walked this way. Demon children? Hey, back upstairs we go! Yuya, who'd presumably rushed down to see what was wrong, calmly walked over to Shimada's body. He was checking for signs of respiration or pulse. He turned back to face us again a moment later, and his facial expression said it all. Duh! That's what that facial expression says to me, at least. Shimada was really dead. That too, probably. I was beginning to lose it. I just couldn't take any more of this. My friends and acquaintances were dying one by one. I guess I should say had died, but it didn't seem like it was over. Not by a long shot. Hell, it was doing more than trying. It had already succeeded twice over. I was scared. I was paranoid. I was shaking and crying and screaming inside. I was deathly afraid that something else would show up. And then it did. What do we got? Satsuko! It was the little girl in the red dress, standing between us and the third floor staircase. I couldn't make out the expression on her face through her bangs, but I could literally feel the hatred in her eyes as she stared into our souls. Then, she turned around and slid up the staircase into the third floor hallway. Emilis turned the other way, so she hadn't seen the girl at all. She eventually followed our gazes, but by that time, the girl was gone. She looked confused. That particular apparition looked a lot different from the other ghosts I'd seen, but there was still no doubt in my mind. She was definitely a ghost. Nope. Satsuko just went up there. False. No, Amy. Oh my god, you guys are just... Yeah, somebody stop her? Oh my god, you guys are dumb. Dangerous? Well, that is the direction the girl in the red dress went, and I guess Yuya didn't want me to be put in harm's way. I nodded and watched his back recede into the darkness as he chased after Emi. It's been 6 days since that incident. No. Who says that? Well, there goes that composure, confidence. What was going on? Why was Emi screaming? I could hear voices now. Emi and Okawa were having a heated argument. Okawa? Oh, okay, sorry. I forgot he was still up there. Leave him and run? We'll get caught? That ghost girl must have been pursuing them. And here we go to save the day, or just run into a whole new horror. Excuse me? Katayama's body was sprawled unceremoniously on the landing hallway up to the 3rd floor, along with Okawa. At the top of the stairs stood Emi, and in front of her, Yuya, with an imposing scowl on his face. I didn't understand any of this. What had just happened? Emi let out another scream and came running towards me down the stairs. Okawa, then, seemed as if he'd fallen and broken his arm. He was lopsidedly crawling toward me. It was almost as if he were trying to distance himself from Yuya. I don't understand. I know Kisami's psycho, but just for a second, if Sachiko went up there, and then he went, and he hasn't been weird since. But no, I'm not buying that because his childhood is really jacked up, and we know he was twisted from the get-go. So he's not like a good person turned bad. Not like, I guess Morishige? He's not like that. Like, I feel like he's inherently a bad person. But Morishige wasn't really that good either. Anyways, I ran to the base of the stairs to meet up with Emi. I needed some sort of context here.
Emi! Nani? Doushita no? Nigero! Nigero! Korosareru zo! Kisami-kun ga Kenny o doushita no? Kenny!
Okay. I glanced up at Yuya, but his face was shrouded in darkness. I couldn't make out any expression at all. Okawa seemed to have reached his breaking point. He shot to his feet and took off behind me toward the 2nd floor as fast as he could. Yuya kicked Okawa down the stairs? Why? Slowly, he walked down to the landing. He was neither concerned nor scornful. His face was a blank slate. As soon as he reached my level, he bent down and began fiddling with Katayama's body. Raising the arms, then letting them drop, wiping blood from the ears and nose, then looking at it as if studying a specimen under a microscope. That's creepy. What the hell? He was enjoying this. I finally got to see an emotion clearly on his face, and it was elation? How is this not some crazy dream? Tears began spilling from my eyes like water. I was shocked, confused, and I don't even know what else. Oh, and she liked him. Of course, there's a reason why nobody got near him. He's psycho. Emi and I found ourselves standing in front of the door to the Scroll Infirmary. Shimada took the key and I need to shut up. If it's blue, that means I don't get to talk. The poor girl was frantic. I can't say I blamed her, but, well, something about this whole situation just didn't feel right to me. Oh, he would! And he would enjoy every second of it. Oh, don't split up. With that, Emi pushed me out of the way and ran past me, toward the stairwell leading to the 1st floor. No? You ever notice that, like, these deaths always happen when, like, friends get split apart? I feel like Sachiko does that on purpose. Like, she wants them to have hatred and anger and like resentment toward each other, and almost that sadness of like not, I guess, like making up with your friend afterwards. Like you break up on bad terms and then you guys both die or something. I don't know. I see this trend and I don't like it. And off she went. I was now separated from every one of my friends. But was I really in danger? I mean, I was, but from Yuya? That just didn't seem right. Or more likely, I didn't want it to be. I wanted to believe that this was all a misunderstanding. My legs were shaking and my head was swimming. I just stood there, unsure of where I should go or what I should do. And then, there he was, right behind me. And in his hands was Shimada's huge knife, the one that was last seen jutting from Shimada's stomach. It was still dripping with blood. This definitely made matters more complicated. How could I doubt Yuya's guilt when he was holding something like that? Why did he even have it? How could he possibly bring himself to pull a knife from his friend's lifeless corpse? But I wasn't going to run. I turned around and I braced myself. I opened my mouth, intent on discussing this rationally. If I ran away now, I felt like it would all be over. There would be nothing left to save, no one left to trust. But what could I possibly say to him? Well, there's nothing left to save for you, but I can save all day long. Are you alright? My body was still visibly shuddering, and I doubted I'd have much of a voice if I tried talking. But I just wanted this all to be a horrible mistake so badly. I knew I had to say something. I knew I had to get through to him. Maybe he was just freaking out in his own way. This whole experience had been taxing for all of us, and Yuya's only human. He must have been terrified. And maybe I could help get him through it. Get him to talk about what's bothering him and feel a little better. It was worth a shot, at least. I figure like if you do it this way, at least you can pretend like you don't know what's going on. If you say what's wrong with you or something like that, then he's like, oh, you're already onto it, so I'm going to kill you anyways. That's my assumption, but it's bad either way. There's no good option in those.
Yuya, 大丈夫?
Kirisaki. Urabe to Oka wa doko da?
They went that way. Bye.
どうして?
No answer. He just started muttering to himself and slowly walked right past me, as if I weren't even there.
Yuya,
Don't stop him!
何持ってるのそれ?
使えそうだ。いろいろ。
Yeah, I bet.
やめて! 捨ててよ!
No, I couldn't let this go on. I grabbed him by the arm and just clung to him, putting my full weight on his body to keep him from going any farther down the hallway. He was at a crossroads, about to walk down the path of no return, and I wasn't going to lose the kind, considerate Yuya I'd fallen for. Unfortunately, the only tools I had at my disposal for stopping him were my feelings, and those just weren't going to be enough. Oh, snap! I was so startled it took me a moment before I'd even figured out what had happened.
同じだ。ここでは。
That was the first time in my entire life that I'd ever been punched in the head, and he put everything he had into it.
この学校に殺されるのも。
I couldn't even focus. My brain was still rattling inside my skull from the impact.
俺に殺されるのも。
The world was spinning. I looked at him with a spasmodic, twitchy, tear-filled eyes. There was no sign of remorse or compassion whatsoever. He looked like a feudal warrior, clutching his sword and staring down at his enemy. The area around my eye was throbbing. It hurt so badly, and it felt so swollen and sore. I couldn't even imagine what it must have looked like. And he wasn't done with me. He just got in closer and closer, grinning unnaturally as he raised his fist for a second strike. Yeah, you're already crazy. Oh, this sucks. Did she run, or is this the... I was running on pure instinct and adrenaline at this point. I shot to my feet and just forced them to carry me to safety. Somewhere. Anywhere. He was going to kill me. He was really going to kill me. God. She's still okay. I felt something rattling around uncomfortably inside my mouth, so I spit it out into my hand. This chapter is called Tooth. It was white. A single white tooth with blood red highlights at its root. That maniac had actually knocked out one of my teeth. He was there, just behind me. I panicked, tripping over my own feet and stumbling to the ground on the landing between the first and second floor. I'd fallen on my backside, dropping my tooth on the ground next to me. I began slinking away from the encroaching figure of Yuya Kizami. Save me. Somebody. Anybody. God, please. I was scooting backwards across the floor, too stiff, sore, and scared to stand. But then my hand brushed against something small and metallic. A key! Okay. Even with my hand right over it, I was shaking so badly that I could barely work my fingers to get a grip. It was the most frustrating feeling in the world, and for a few seconds, that felt like hours, I just kept trying in vain to pick up that dang key. Finally, my fingers slipped through the ring. I had it. This was my only chance. Scrambling to my feet, I somehow slipped past Yuya and ran back up to the second floor as fast as I could force my shaky legs to carry me. I had the key. I could lock myself in. I could hide in the infirmary. That's not a good thing though. Infirmary is not a wonderful place. Kizami didn't pursue. Not right away. He just stood there, staring. Staring at the tooth I dropped on the ground. Staring intently, as if trying to make out what he was seeing.
Haka.
What are you... Dude! Oh! That sound... Oh my god. You... Can't... What? You ate her tooth? Can you even do that? I mean, it's bone. It's like... Oh my god, I don't want to think about it. Dude. They're milking this way too much. Who? What? Where? How? Why? Why was that necessary? Who eats a tooth? Get $1 for it from the Tooth Fairy. Good God, she doesn't even eat them. What a twisted man. What's gonna happen to her in here? There didn't seem to be any way to lock the door from the inside. I needed to find a hiding place before Yuya showed up. The corner of the room? Under the bed, maybe? I was scanning every inch of the room as quickly as possible, sizing up my surroundings. My eyes stopped on one of the medicine shelves. It felt like such a revelation, like the answer I was looking for. But what was I going to do with scissors? Was I going to fight? Fight who? Yuya? I wouldn't stand a chance. I decided to leave them there. I stepped back and crouched down behind the partitioning screen that was set up in the middle of the room. If you can't lock it from the inside though, there's no good reason why you're here. You might as well unlock the infirmary, open the door, and then run down to a different classroom so that he's searching in there because he thinks you'll be in there. But if you're in there and you can't lock it, then what's the point? Oh, you guys are screwed. You guys are screwed. Urabe had run back to the bathrooms on the 3rd floor to warn Okawa about the imminent threat that was approaching. Unsurprisingly, he was still crouched on the ground, cradling Katayama's lifeless head in his arms. And he was still stubbornly insistent that if we were to leave the spot, he'd have to carry Katayama with him. Oh! Okay, this is like a few minutes ago. What a stubborn, foolish man, I'd had thought. I decided to rip Katayama's body from Okawa's arms and kick it down the stairs. It made one hell of a thud when it hit the landing. But he was already dead, so what did it matter? As long as it helped get Okawa moving, I didn't care. See? Look, he's dead. Get your butt off that floor and run. Oh. Urabe was looking at me, then at Katayama's body, then back at me, as if she couldn't make up her mind which was more interesting. But why was she looking at me? Did I have something on my face? Okawa, on the other hand, was focused squarely on Katayama. He was trembling all over, but I thought he finally understood. Then he turned toward me. Yelled like a madman, and ran down the stairs toward his friend's body. He wasn't exactly in his right mind, however, so those last few steps didn't quite go as planned. He tripped and fell, quite hard, next to Katayama. What? Is that what Kizami thinks happened in his mind? It's plausible. Yes, it's very plausible that Kizami is misunderstood. But he ate a friggin' tooth. So I'm not gonna just trust him because we get a different perspective on this incident. I wasn't the one who killed Katayama. Oh, and that's the end. Oh. Well, okay then. Is that the end of the game? It's not the final chapter, so don't worry. Don't get too sad yet. Because it's not the actual true ending to this game. But man, is it messed up. Okay, I don't know. Can I skip this? I'm going to skip it. Just because the music might be copywritten. I don't want to have to deal with all that. Hashtag prologue. Blood Drive is now available. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we did manage to get it unlocked. Oh, that's so good. I was worried that I'd have to replay through everything. But you guys told me early on that if I had my save file, which I did, I just had it on a different, like a different memory stick. So I had to find it again and reuse that. But now we are good to go. We should have Blood Drive. So this is the true, actual, and True Corpse Party Book of Shadows. Tooth was messed up. And I still want to go back to Shangri-La and see if I can get Morishige to 100%. I might save that for another episode. Like, I'm thinking about like finishing Blood Drive and then doing a bonus episode where, if you guys want, I will do the Shangri-La ending, and then maybe we can go through like these bonus options and we can listen to all the commentary that the cast members have and things like that. I don't know. I thought it'd be something fun to do, but I know that not everyone's going to be interested in that, so I may make it a supplemental video. Let me know what you guys think about that. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode right here because it's a good stopping point. We can start Blood Drive on the next episode and just see what kind of craziness unravels from there. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next MAMJ. Let's play. I held the amethyst in front of me and approached the spirit. Well, that was anticlimactic. Hey, buddy! How you doing? Isn't the weather just fabulous today? I mean, I don't know if it's good for you or not, you know, because you got that giant claw arm and stuff, but for me, oh man, it's so nice. Just the flowers hitting my nose with their freshness of the petals and all that. Yeah, it's just absolutely wonderful.